He trusted his wife completely until a hidden camera exposed a chilling betrayal that would change his life forever.
My name is Michael, and if you had asked me a year ago what trust looked like, I would have pointed straight at my marriage. We had what most people would call a quiet, stable life. A modest home in a decent neighborhood, predictable routines, shared meals, and just enough laughter to convince ourselves everything was still intact. My wife and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. No dramatic fights, no obvious cracks, just subtle changes I couldn't quite explain. At first, I told myself I was imagining things. It started small. She began guarding her phone like it contained state secrets, turning the screen away when I walked in, smiling at messages she wouldn't share. Then came the late errands, quick grocery runs that somehow stretched into hours. And the sudden interest in her appearance, even on days she claimed she wasn't seeing anyone. I didn't confront her, not because I was afraid, but because I needed certainty. Accusations without proof destroy more than lies ever could. So I stayed quiet, and I watched. The idea of installing cameras didn't come to me all at once. It crept in slowly, like everything else. One night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I wasn't planning to look, but the name wasn't saved, just a number. And the message preview read, "Tomorrow, same time. Don't be late this time." My chest tightened. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. That one line said, "Enough." That was the moment something inside me shifted. Trust didn't shatter dramatically, it eroded, silently, like sand slipping through fingers. The next day, I bought the cameras. Small, discreet, nearly impossible to notice unless you knew exactly where to look. One in the living room, one facing the front door, another in the kitchen. I avoided the bedroom at first. Some line in me hadn't fully broken yet. Installing them was disturbingly easy. Like I'd crossed into a version of myself I didn't recognize. Then came the hardest part, waiting. For the first few days, nothing unusual happened. She moved around the house like she always did, cooked, cleaned, watched TV, even laughed with me like nothing was wrong. It almost made me question everything again. Almost. Then came Thursday. I was at work when my phone buzzed with emotion alert from the app. That wasn't unusual, but something made me check it immediately. The front door camera. She was there, dressed differently than she had been when I left that morning. Not dramatically, but enough to make me pause. Her hair was styled, her makeup fresh. She looked intentional. And she wasn't alone. A man stepped into the frame behind her. I remember staring at the screen, my mind refusing to process what my eyes were clearly seeing. He wasn't someone I recognized, taller than me, confident posture. The kind of presence that didn't ask for permission. She let him in like he belonged there. No hesitation, no glance over her shoulder. Just familiarity. I didn't breathe. I switched to the living room camera. They walked in together. Close, but not touching. Not yet. She said something I couldn't hear, and he laughed. That laugh echoed through the silent feed like a gunshot in my head. I expected something immediate, something undeniable. But instead, they sat down, casual. Like this wasn't the first time. That realization hit harder than anything else. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't spontaneous. This was routine. I watched as she got up, walked into the kitchen, and came back with 2 glasses of wine. She handed one to him like she'd done it 100 times before. My hands were shaking. I wanted to leave work, to drive home, to kick the door open and end whatever this was right then and there. But I didn't, because I needed to see it. All of it. Minutes passed, then more. They talked, laughed, leaned closer, the space between them shrinking until it no longer existed. And then it happened. She kissed him. Not hesitantly, not like someone crossing a line for the first time. It was familiar, comfortable, practiced. Something inside me went cold. Not rage, not yet, just clarity. I kept watching because once you open a door like that, you can't close it halfway. The kiss deepened. His hand moved to her waist, pulling her closer. She didn't resist. If anything, she leaned into it. I switched to the kitchen camera, then back again, as if changing angles would somehow change the reality. It didn't. They stood up, still tangled together, moving toward the hallway, toward the bedroom. That's when I realized my mistake. I hadn't placed a camera there. For a moment, frustration surged through me, but it quickly faded into something else. Maybe it was better this way. Because I already knew enough, or at least I thought I did. I watched the empty living room for what felt like hours, though it couldn't have been more than 20 minutes. The silence of the footage was louder than anything I had ever heard. Eventually, they came back, disheveled, closer than before, and laughing, That laugh, it stayed with me. Not just because of what it meant, but because of how easy it sounded, how normal. Like I didn't exist. Like our life didn't exist. They stayed a while longer. Another drink, more quiet conversations. Then he left the same way he came, calm, unhurried, like there was no risk at all. Like he'd be back. She locked the door behind him. Then she stood there for a moment, staring at nothing. And then she smiled. That smile was the final piece. Not guilt, not regret, satisfaction. I closed the app, sat there in silence. And for the first time since this started, I didn't feel confused. I felt focused because now this wasn't about suspicion anymore. It was about truth. And I had only just scratched the surface. What I didn't know yet was how much worse it was going to get. Session 2, 900 words. I didn't confront her that night. When I got home, she was already there, sitting on the couch, like everything was exactly where it should be. She smiled when I walked in, the same way she always did, like I was still the man she chose. "Hey," she said softly. "Long day?" I looked at her, really looked at her, searching for something, anything that resembled the person I thought I knew, but all I saw was someone who had mastered the art of pretending. "Yeah," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "Just tired." She nodded, completely unaware that I had watched her betrayal unfold in real time. That I had seen the way she laughed, the way she leaned into someone else, the way she erased me without hesitation. That night, she slept beside me like nothing had changed. But everything had. I didn't sleep. Instead, I stared at the ceiling, replaying every second of the footage in my head. Not just what I saw, but what it meant. The comfort between them, the routine, the lack of fear. This wasn't new. And if it wasn't new, then how long had it been going on? The next morning, I acted like usual. Same routine, same goodbye kiss, same quiet departure, but this time I didn't go far. I parked a few streets away and I waited. Hours passed, nothing happened. No movement alerts, no unexpected visitors. For a moment, I wondered if Thursday had been some kind of isolated event. But deep down, I knew better. Patterns don't reveal themselves all at once. They repeat. Around midday, I checked the cameras again. Nothing. So I left. Went to a nearby cafe, sat down, and kept one eye on my phone the entire time. I barely tasted the coffee. My mind was elsewhere, building something colder than anger. A plan. Because confrontation without leverage is just noise. And I wasn't interested in noise. I was interested in control. Over the next few days, I expanded the system, added more cameras, not recklessly, but strategically. One in the hallway this time. And yes, one in the bedroom. That line I had hesitated to cross before, it no longer existed. If she had no respect for our boundaries, then I had no reason to protect them. By the following week, I had what I needed. Not just proof, a pattern. He came twice more. Same time, same ease, same confidence. And each time it escalated, not just physically, but emotionally. They talked more, stayed longer. And what they said, that's what broke whatever was left of me. One afternoon, I listened as she sat on the edge of our bed, laughing at something he said. "You're terrible," she teased. "You love it," he replied. There was a pause. Then she said something I will never forget. "I haven't felt like this in years." Years. That word echoed louder than anything else. Not days, not months, years. Meaning everything I believed about our marriage had been a lie for longer than I could even comprehend. He asked her casually, "So why stay?" And she answered without hesitation, "Because it's comfortable. He's predictable. Safe." Safe. That's what I was to her. Not a partner, not someone she loved, just security, a fallback. I stopped the recording, not because I couldn't handle it, but because I had heard enough. Now I understood everything. And with understanding came something dangerous. Clarity. That night, I sat across from her at dinner, watching her talk about her day like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just reduced our entire life to a convenience. I nodded when I needed to, responded when expected, but inside, I was already somewhere else. 3 days later, I made my move. Not with anger, not with shouting, but with precision. I invited her to dinner. Somewhere nice, somewhere public. She seemed surprised, even pleased. Maybe she thought I was trying to reconnect. In a way, I was. Just not how she expected. We sat down, ordered food, made small talk. She smiled more than usual, reached for my hand at one point. Elet hair. Then, halfway through the meal, I placed my phone on the table. And I pressed play. No warning. No explanation. Just the footage. Her laughter filled the silence between us, followed by his voice, followed by everything she thought I would never see. At first, she didn't react. Then, her eyes dropped to the screen. And everything changed. Color drained from her face. Her hands slowly pulled away from mine. Her breathing shifted shallow, uneven. She looked up at me, panic rising fast. I can explain. No, I said calmly. You can't. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The truth was already speaking for me. I've seen enough, I continued. More than enough. Tears filled her eyes instantly. Whether they were real or not, I didn't care. How long? I asked. She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Say it, I said, my tone sharper now. 2 years. 2 years. I leaned back in my chair, absorbing it. All the memories. All the moments I thought were real. Contaminated. I was going to tell you, she added quickly. I just didn't know how... Stop, I cut in. Don't insult me. Silence fell between us. Heavy. Final. I'm done, I said simply. Her head snapped up. What? I'm done, I repeated. With this. With you. With all of it. Panic turned into desperation. We can fix this. No, I said, standing up. You made sure of that. I left money on the table. More than enough to cover everything. Then I walked away. No hesitation. No looking back. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Calculated. Complete. She thought I was safe. Predictable. Comfortable. What she didn't realize was that I was also patient. And patience, when paired with truth, is far more devastating than anger will ever be.
In the end, silence became his weapon and truth his revenge, leaving behind a shattered marriage with no return.